We're going to start with this one, Fierce Conversations. This book I was recommended for my job, but I never really checked it out. It was supposed to be some homework as I was a developing manager, but here we go. This book is dedicated to the fierce staff who work brilliantly every day to transform the conversations central to our clients' success and to friends and family whose conversations are simply the best. Introduction. Oh, it's got a foreword by Ken Blanchard. This is a book by Susan Scott. Foreword by Ken Blanchard, PhD. Fierce Conversations, Achieving Success at Work and in Life, one conversation at a time. Do we really need to read the foreword? Why not? The notion that our lives succeed or fail one conversation at a time is at once commonsensical and revolutionary. It is commonsensical because all of us have had conversations that, for better or worse, profoundly altered our professional or personal lives. It is revolutionary because a course on conversations won't be found in an MBA curriculum. Yet who amongst us hasn't spent time and energy cleaning up the aftermath of a significant but failed conversation? Who among us hasn't recognized, perhaps too late, that a client was frustrated or a loved one wounded because we failed to engage in the conversations that were needed? By the same token, most of us have left a successful conversation clicking our heels at the outcome, eagerly anticipating the next one. While success is often measured by an accumulation of titles, acquisitions in the financial bottom line, little or no attention is paid to the power of each conversation to move us toward or away from our stated business and life goals. No longer. Susan Scott set out to help us change our lives one conversation at a time. If you don't have time to read the whole book, it's a mistake. But since God didn't make junk and you are unconditionally loved, I will hold back on a 1-minute reprimand. And as a humanist, I will go one step further and give you the essence of this powerful book. Here's what it says. Our lives succeed or fail gradually, then suddenly, one conversation at a time. While no single conversation is guaranteed to change the trajectory of a career, a business, a marriage, or a life, any single conversation can. The conversation is the relationship. This book will help you gain the insight and skills to make every conversation count. Are you ready? Introduction, the idea of fierce. When you think of a fierce conversation, think passion, integrity, authenticity, collaboration. Think cultural transformation. Think leadership. When she was 7, my niece Margot called to announce that she had just had an apostrophe. An idea with shiny lights around it. She meant epiphany, but I've always liked the idea of having apostrophes, and my hope is that as you read this book, you will enjoy an apostrophe, at the very least a semicolon, maybe even an exclamation point about the connection between conversations and your success and happiness, about the connection between conversations and leadership. I want you to get really good at fierce conversations, but before we go into the how, the 7 principles, it's important that you understand why. Picture a kaleidoscope. Do you remember the first time you held one up to the light and turned it? When one piece inside the kaleidoscope shifted, the entire picture changed. And once that happened, you couldn't dial back to the picture you had before. The 3 ideas I want to share with you in this introduction have been like kaleidoscopic pieces that, when they shifted, changed my view of the world and of myself in the world, and therefore what is required of me. Once my understanding shifted, it wasn't possible to return to conversations as I had known them. Idea number 1, my first apostrophe arrived courtesy of Ernest Hemingway in The Sun Also Rises. A character drinking with friends in a bar is asked, "How did you go bankrupt?" He answers, "Gradually, then suddenly." At the time I read this, I had been running think tanks for chief executives for 13 years and had more than 10,000 hours of conversations with industry leaders worldwide. I thought back over important events in the lives of my clients. A piece within my kaleidoscope dropped. Our careers, our companies, Our relationships and indeed our very lives succeed or fail gradually, then suddenly, one conversation at a time. On the failing side, sometimes the questions were, how did we manage to lose our biggest customer, the one that counted for 20% of our net profit? How did I lose my most valued employee for whom I had great plans? How did I lose the cohesiveness of my team? Why are we experiencing turnover, turf wars, rumors, departments not cooperating with one another, unengaged employees, long overdue reports and projects, strategic plans that still aren't off the ground? Why do we have so many reasons and excuses for things not being different or better than they are? And on a personal note, how did I lose an 18-year marriage that I was not prepared to lose? How did I lose my job? How is it that I find myself in a company, a role, a relationship, a life from which I've absented my spirit? How did I lose my way? How did I get here? Once the members of my CEO groups reflected on a path that led them to a disappointing or difficult point and place in time, they remembered often in vivid detail the conversations that set things in motion, ensuring that they would end up exactly where they found themselves. They lost that customer, that employee, that cohesiveness of their team, their marriage, their joy, one failed or one missing conversation at a time. In fact, it was often